Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Dental Unfiltered. I'm Matt Brown. I'm here with my normal co-host, Dr. Andrew Vallo. Today we have a pretty cool episode together for you guys. It's one I'm pretty passionate about. What is your definition of success? I meet with dentists every day, and it seems like they're all chasing something different, right? So many arches a month, so much EBITDA, so much revenue, so many crowns, so many implants, and they tend to get these definitions of success from outside sources, like different seminars they go to, different speakers, different coaches, different ads on Facebook, even what people say. And I think a lot of times what happens is some of these outside influences pushing these definitions of success, when we're not achieving that, it can create a sensation of less value for how good I'm doing. And I think it's really important to really kind of write down and focus what your definition of success is. Because if not, these things can really get to you, and then you end up not being the best self you are for operating your practice. So, Andrew, you've kind of always chased this. The reality is this definition can change from year to year. It can change as you go through different phases of success. But when it comes to definition of success, and you hear that, like what comes to mind for you is, I mean, like you're defined as a successful doc at this point in your own world and right? So it's like, for you, what does that mean to you a little bit?
Yeah. Hey guys. I think this is a really cool topic today. And I think it's one that many times we overlook. I want to start here by saying that if you're not intentional with what is important to you, setting goals that are things that you truly value in your life. And if you just kind of follow what you think your path should be, or you follow what the doc next door is doing, or you follow what your parents did, when you end up reaching that destination, you're going to be very unfulfilled. And I have talked to a lot of dentists and other people, business owners who have had that experience. You think, okay, I need to hit X dollars in my bank account, or I need to hit X number of practices. I have to win this award. Whatever you think your goals should be, whatever you think you should be out there chasing every day. If it's not something that you really care about and you put all that effort in and all that time in and you get there, it's a really crappy feeling. So I guess my first piece of advice is you got to sit down and you got to do some reflecting. You've got to think about what really matters in your life. And it can be different for everyone. Like this isn't like a dental board exam where there's a right answer and a wrong answer. What's important to you might be different than what's important to me and might be different than what's important to Matt. And that's okay. But you got to figure it out. Is it your family? Is it your kids specifically? Is it, freedom? Is it clinical dentistry? I talked to, because, obviously I've taken this route where I've kind of quickly grown this little dental group and I've stepped back clinically, at this point practicing 1 day a week. And that was intentional for me. But I've talked to other dentists who are like, man, I think I kind of want to do that. I think I want to grow my practice bigger, get a couple practices and step back clinically. And, I'll ask them like, why? And, a lot of times they don't have an answer. They're like, I don't know. I mean, it looks great what you're doing, or it just seems like that's like what successful dentists do is they get themselves out of the chair. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of docs out there that love doing clinical dentistry and hate the business side of dentistry. So if you're one of those docs and you just try to like follow in the footsteps of someone like me or these other docs that have built these dental groups and step back, you're going to be miserable because you're going to stop doing the thing that you love doing, clinical dentistry, and all of a sudden you're spending a lot more time dealing with all the headaches of running a larger small business. So I think that is step one. If you haven't already done it, sit down, do some reflection, do some journaling, write down some goals, but like don't just mindlessly write them down. Like, think about them. Think about how it's going to affect you. Think about how it's going to affect your family. Think about what your life's going to be like at that point in time. I've done this. I typically do this at least once a year. It's kind of my New Year's tradition is to write down, 1, 2, and 5-year goals, and to think about like what my life is going to be like if I can achieve those goals. I think my biggest priority or my biggest goal or success to me is finding the most balance I can in life. So, Mark Costas, he preaches on the four futures. That's a big part of our mastermind group. And, and those four futures, as Mark talked about when he was on our podcast, are mind, meaning, muscle, and money. So, mind is learning new things, reading books, getting better at your craft, whatever that is. Meaning is relationships with your spouse, your children, your parents, your friends. It's also your legacy, the reputation you're building. Um, Muscle is obviously your physical fitness. What kind of shape are you in? Can you do activities that you want to do? Can you go hiking? Could you go rock climbing? Could you run in a 5K? Could you coach your kids soccer and run around with the kids on the field? Are you setting yourself up for a longevity? And then money is obviously your financial well-being. And so I think a lot of us focus mostly on that money quadrant. We're chasing that financial success, but we kind of ignore all those other quadrants. And so, as I've quickly grown this group, and obviously, like, yes, I do want to be financially secure. I want to reach financial freedom, but I don't want to do it at the expense of all these other quadrants. So I've been very adamantly, focused on how can I continue to build these other quadrants. So for me, I think opening all these practices, becoming a dad, the stress that comes with it, probably eating a little bit too much, maybe drinking a little bit too much here and there. I packed on a few pounds. And so that's been one of my missions lately is, like I've been doing some hardcore carnivore diet, exercise, getting back into running, trying to get myself back into the shape I was in college, if not better shape. So really working on improving that muscle quadrant right now. I had been so busy with the offices that I was not spending enough time with my family and my young son and my wife. And so I have been trying to empower the leaders within my organization and bring on additional leaders and executive assistants so that I can continue to grow my group, continue to make my dental group even better, but not work 80 to 100 hours a week and actually take time to spend more time, to shut the laptop at 6 p.m. so I could spend at least that last hour before we put my son to bed, to maybe work a couple hours in the morning on the weekends, but then have the rest of the day to spend with my family. And then, from a mindset standpoint, guys, I'm like constantly consuming podcast material. A lot of it's dental, some of it's business, some of it's mindset, some of it's health. But anytime I'm on a run, a walk at the gym, I now started rucking, so I got those weighted backpacks that I walk with. Anytime I'm doing that stuff, I throw on another podcast, and I'm always learning something. So it's like my goal is like, can I learn something new every single day, no matter what category it's in? You got to constantly be learning new things. So I guess that's my well-rounded, generalized definition of success for myself.
I think what's really important to know is it can change, right? Like based on what happens, it can pivot and move. So like I think about when you were talking about like not like kind of missing out on the other quadrants, right? I have a couple friends that are multi-$100 million to $1 billion net worth, like pretty high value guys. And one of them is older. He's a happy guy. He's older, and I got diagnosed with cancer 3 years ago now, I think, or 4 years ago, and my leg got amputated. And this really important friend, he came to my home and he came and stayed with me for a couple of days. Like right after my leg got cut off, this guy can. He's just very very wealthy, and he's really important to me. And He's like, hey, I'm gonna come be with you for a couple days. And he sat with me. We're sitting in the movie theater in my house, and like this guy buys watches that are the value of my home, right? Like he's super high net worth. And what you talk about with chasing the wrong quadrants, I think he knows for sure he chased the wrong quadrants. And he looked at me and he goes, listen to me. He's like, you did it right. You got 3 kids and a wife. You have people around you right now and you're sick. He's like, don't chase the dollars. He's like, your quality of life at $10 million net worth versus $100 million net worth is no different. And he's in his 50s now, no kids, possibly getting married soon. And he like made sure to make to tell me like this isn't it. Like don't try to become me. It's not good. You're gonna miss out on a lot. Get to a point where you're comfortable, be comfortable, have it. So I started thinking really, really hard. I had 2 near-death experiences in the military, in parachute accidents, and then I had my cancer and losing my leg. And in like a 4-year period, I lost both my parents and my leg and all this stuff. I had a lot taken from me all at once. And I started defining what my definition of success was. And my definition at that point in time, it's actually shifted recently. That point in time, my definition was this: being able to do what I want to do every minute of the day on my terms. I don't want someone to tell me I have to work. I want to go choose to work because I want to work on that thing. There's a level of freedom of choice of how I used my time that was very prioritizedly important to me because I have a definitive like pressure on me from my two near death experiences and cancer now and losing my leg, that time is clicking off and I'm gonna possibly die at some point, right? So it's like I have to use that time. So my definition of sex for the last few years has been doing what I want to do on my terms. I don't want anyone telling me I have to do something. I want to choose to do it so I know I'm enjoying it. And that meant a lot for the time usage, right? And that kind of went over all 4 quadrants. Like I'm gonna work on my body when I want to. I'm gonna spend time with my kids when I want to. I'm gonna work real hard when I want to. And that was really important. I think what's really good to know is it does shift, right? So my current definition that I'm using is building things that give you peace or doing things that give you peace, right? You talked about like having financial freedom and security, like that gives you peace in doing things. I think too often we start to define success as like Italian sports cars and bank accounts, or like doing 20 arches a month, or like having a you know 20% EBITDA practice that's doing $2 million. That's not really the success. It's the tool that leads you to where you want to be for the success, I think it's good to define the benchmarks or KPIs that get you to where you want to be personally. But I think you have to have a picture of what you want your daily life to feel like personally for success. Because I had dinner with a I was in Utah recently, and I had dinner with a guy. He sold a company previously that was like $100 million revenue company. So he's done really well. And he told me and my partner Ryan, we sat there, and he goes, "Someday you'll sell something of significance like I did, and a wire transfer will come, and you guys will be in the bank, and your bank account will click over to that giant number, and you're gonna look at each other and be like, why doesn't this feel awesome? It's gonna feel like the odometer of your car rolling over to 100,000 miles. It's not gonna feel like anything. What's gonna feel like something is what you can do with your time and get your enjoyment and peace, and how your fabric of your life changes afterwards. I think that's the thing that gets really overlooked. And what happens is there's so much outside pressure on social media, especially for dentists, telling you that this is a successful dentist. I had a doc, he's in Utah. His name was Eric. I won't say his full name, but he was with us for a long time as a client. And first meeting with Eric, he knew what his success was for him. He reached that and he told me, I hit it, I'm good. And his was a lifestyle practice where he wanted to work 3 days a week and do 160 a month. And you know what? The guy's with his family 4 days a week, having fun with his wife and kids. I see him on social media. I know what he's doing. He's doing awesome. And his definition is different than Andrew's. They're very different. It's as personal as your fingerprint. And I don't think you should let others' success put the pressure and influence on you to be like them, because you're more secure in yourself. So it's like I reached my thing. I did it. Like I can check that off. I feel good. Does it make sense, Andrew?
Yeah, Matt. I mean, So much great stuff there. I think one thing that we should all strive for, that I think would be considered success for everyone, is I think you should strive to do at least one thing every single day that makes you happy. So, I think in life, with adulting and responsibilities and dentistry and everything else, I think we kind of lose sight of how important our happiness is. And, I think people often, everyone always asks, what do you do, or how's your week going, or whatever, but no one really asks, like, are you happy right now? And I think that that is something that needs more attention. And it can be something little. I mean, maybe it's taking your dogs for a walk. Maybe it's cooking breakfast for your family. Maybe it's going to the gym. Maybe it's going to hit a few golf balls. Maybe it's going to have coffee with a friend, FaceTiming with your mom. Whatever it is, you should think about the things that make you really happy, and you should strive to do one of those things at least every single day, because I think that is really setting you on the path to success. I think, the happier, like, it's kind of like where you got to put your own air mask on before you help others on the airplane. You've got to be happy yourself. You've got to be in a good mental state yourself in order to be the best husband or wife, to be the best parent, to be the best boss or leader, for your practice, to be the best dentist for your patients. So, I honestly, guys, like, dentistry is hard. Like, think about all that you went through going through college and dental school and boards and bad associateships, and maybe starting a practice or buying a practice. Think about all the difficult patient situations and lost lab cases and HR issues you've dealt with. I mean, we are just like constantly grinding. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. Again, grit is one of our core values. I think, there's something to be said about having that staying power and fighting through the hard times. But at the same time, you deal with so much crap. Don't lose sight of what lights you up. Don't lose sight of what makes you happy, and try to do it as much as you can.
It's kind of like, you always talk about when you have morning huddle, you hand out love bombs to everybody to start off things positive, be positive. You almost have to create joy bombs for yourself every day, and label it like that's my joy bomb for the day. Mine lately has been this. I'm actually looking at. I don't know if you even know this yet. Um, I'm actually looking at neck surgery in December. I'm getting 4 discs fused in my neck. Anyone knows me, I have a lot of neck problems from my parachute accidents. And at first, I just started getting into doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu again. So at first, like, man, I just started training again. Now I got to take time off the mat for recovery. My wife and daughter are training again. I take my wife and daughter to jiu-jitsu. I have 3 kids. My oldest trains, my wife trains. I take them 2 nights a week to my buddy's local school. And sometimes, like, if I train and my wife trains, I can't watch her train. And I'm a black belt, so I usually help her, coach her when we get home, work through some stuff. I struggle now with, do I want to train, or do I want to watch my wife train as the thing that I experience? Because I actually get a lot of joy at watching her progress now, because I really don't have much progression left. One leg, lots of health issues. I can't do much anymore, right? So it's like I discovered this new joy bomb that I didn't think existed. And I got my wife, it was called a jiu-jitsu journal, which is like a journal that you write in after class, what move you did, how much you trained, how many rounds you did. And she was so excited. She writes in it every night. And my joy bomb is, we come home from jiu-jitsu, we put the kids to bed, and then she gets out on the couch. I see her take her journal out. I see her write in it, and like seeing her use it, and then me knowing that I helped coach her and seeing how well she's doing, her joy became my joy bomb. And I'm actually a lot less selfish now about my training. Like, I don't have to train every night. I don't have to get it rolling because I get to see her. So sometimes, the joy bomb, you have to be able to recognize it in your world, like when it comes up, like, oh, that's the thing that gave me joy today, and maybe I can recreate that and make more of it, right? So it's not necessarily something that you, like, say I'm going to walk the dog today, but you have to have your eyes open, because it could be something that's presenting itself that you didn't even realize was there.
Well, and I think it's like kind of what you said, like rediscovering things that used to give you joy that you just stopped doing because life happened. So, When I grew up playing tennis, my grandpa taught me to play when I was like 5 years old. I played high school tennis. I played a little bit kind of through college and dental school, and then as the last 10 years have gone on, I've barely ever played. My brother plays. My grandpa at 85 years old still plays like 4 or 5 days a week. Actually, he might even be a little older than that. But I mean, he is like, you want to talk about like quality of life and what you want to, be like when you grow up. Like that's it right there. I mean, he is still, living each day to the fullest. But again, marriage, businesses, kids, like life just gets in the way. And sometimes you realize like you're just making excuses though too. So my brother, he is my executive assistant. Actually, he used to manage one of our offices, and we realized this was a better fit for him, and he's doing a killer job with it. But I texted him the one day a few weeks ago, and I was like, "Hey, you want to go hit some tennis balls?" And he was like shocked. He was like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah." So we went and played, and it was great. And we're actually going to play again later this evening here. So like rediscovering an old hobby that you just kind of lost touch with because life happened. I think that also can be a big thing to bring some joy back into your life. So yeah, guys, I don't know if this episode is what you had expected. We're not talking about EBITDA or take home income or practice valuations, or sports cars or anything like that. I obviously, a lot of what we do with this podcast is to try to help you make your practice as successful as possible so that you can take care of your family, have financial security, sleep well at night, hopefully not have to work until you're 70 years old like the average dentist does. But I think there's a lot more to success than just monetary values and numbers. And so we wanted to kind of make sure that we shone some light on that. So I guess that's really my takeaway. And another kind of quicker episode for us, but I hope you did find some value from it. And my action item for you, as you finish this recording, is sit down and think about what is important to you, what brings you joy in life that you could be doing more of or start doing that you haven't been doing, and really set some intentional goals. And I guess I did want to, I guess, quickly touch on this too, just some different avatars. So, I think a lot of people hear about what other dentists are doing and think, again, I got to follow that path. But I think there's different avatars. And I know a lot of dentists that are extremely happy as associate dentists without owning practices because that's not something that they would enjoy doing. So, guys, I have associate docs that make well over $500,000 a year, working 4 days a week with no HR responsibilities. They come in, they do their dentistry, and they get to enjoy long weekends every weekend with their family. They get to travel, without worrying about what's going on at the office while they're gone. So, there is a huge quality of life aspect. And I think you got to think about your avatar again and be intentional and think about what makes you happy. Because for some people, I truly do believe being an associate dentist is your best form of success. It's what's going to make you happiest. You can still make great money doing that and take away all this hassle and stress of being a practice owner, have more freedom in your life. For some people, they love doing clinical dentistry and they want the autonomy to do exactly what they want to do, how they want to do it. They want to use the supplies they want. They want to use the equipment they want. They want to make their own decisions. They don't want to answer anybody else, but they also don't want to handle a giant team and a bunch of HR and all that stuff. Maybe the best option for you is a smaller practice, maybe a fee for service. So like, that's not my model. My model is not this 4-op fee for service practice because that didn't fit with my goals. But for some dentists, I think that's a great option. Again, if you want to have a smaller team, you don't want to see a huge volume of patients, you want to practice dentistry on your terms and do it exactly how you want to. I think having a smaller fee for service practice could be your definition of success. If you're someone that loves business and has that business mindset and can't get enough of the type of content we put out on this podcast, and you like clinical dentistry, but maybe you don't love it, then maybe growing a large group practice, a, group of practices, maybe that's the best avatar for you. So, again, I don't think there's this one path to success that all dentists need to jump on. And, there's different stops along the way. I think there are different paths that are best suited for different dentists. And you just need to figure out what path is going to lead you to the most happiness in life. And you got to get on that path.
You guys, to wrap this up, I think if I had to break this in like 3 or 4 things, the first thing is when you're hearing these success stories and these people do these extreme things in the marketplace and on Facebook, just put your blinders on a little bit and realize like that doc that's doing 30 arches a month or 20 arches a month, they're saying these crazy numbers. They're in a different market than you. There's a lot of things that puts a lot of pressure on you. So first, like kind of put your blinders on a little bit to that. Second, define personally what you want your life to be like. And there's going to be some self-love you find in there that's really awesome. And then figure out what the KPIs are or what the benchmarks are in your life that get you there. And you're kind of going to be a lot closer. Right now you're kind of just going through it and like, man, success is $2 million practice. That's where I got to be. But then you get there and you work hard and you waste all this time and all honest you what you're wasting is something you can't afford. You're wasting your life. And then you get there and you hit it and you're like, I don't feel any different. This isn't great because you didn't really plan for what your definition of success was for your quality of life. So, hey guys, thank you so much for spending time with us today. Thank you so much for listening to us. Me and Andrew don't do this we don't sell sponsorships. There's no way you can buy your way into the show if you're a guest or a product. We do it really the spirit of what we think is best, and we do it for you guys. And we love if you guys share, subscribe, follow, leave reviews. If this episode helps you, share it to a friend who's a dentist you think can listen to it. Thank you guys so much and have a wonderful day.